Our Old Testament reading today is from Psalm 31, verses 1 through 5. In you, O Lord, I seek refuge. Do not let me ever be put to shame. In your righteousness, deliver me. Incline your ear to me. Rescue me speedily. Be a rock of refuge for me, a strong fortress to save me. You are indeed my rock and my fortress. For your name's sake, lead me and guide me. Take me out of the net that is hidden for me, for you are my refuge. Into your hand I commit my spirit. You have redeemed me, O Lord, faithful God. Our New Testament reading is from John 21, verses 1 through 14. After these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias, and he showed himself in this way. Gathered there together were Simon Peter, Thomas, called the twin, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, and the sons of Zebedee, and two others of his disciples. Simon Peter said to them, I'm going fishing. They said to him, We'll go with you. They went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Just after daybreak, Jesus stood on the beach, but the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to them, Children, you have no fish, have you? They answered him, No. He said to them, Cast the net to the right side of the boat, and you'll find some. So they cast it, and now they were not able to haul it in because there were so many fish. That disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, It's the Lord. When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his outer garment, for he'd taken it off, and jumped into the sea. But the other disciples came in the boat, dragging the net full of fish, for they were not far from the land, only about 100 yards off. When they had gone ashore, they saw a charcoal fire there, with fish on it and bread. Jesus said to them, Bring some of the fish that you've just caught. So Simon Peter went aboard and hauled the net ashore, full of fish, 153 of them. And though there were so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, Come and have breakfast. And now none of the disciples dared to ask him, Who are you? Because they knew it was the Lord. Jesus came and took the bread and gave it to them, and did the same with the fish. This was now the third time that Jesus appeared to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. May God bless the reading and hearing of his word.
Katrina, thank you so much for reading today on the Sunday, first Sunday after Easter. Trying to get this back on here. You are what you eat. Have you heard that saying before? I am not going into details now about dietary restrictions or what you should or shouldn't eat, nor am I going to talk about the latest Netflix series, a documentary about 22 identical twins, where half of them were actually put on a vegan diet for 8 weeks. You may watch that documentary by yourself, easy to find. It's a documentary with the same title, You Are What You Eat. And there's a lot of controversy, obviously, about it. You are what you eat. Last week was a big Sunday. I'm very grateful to Pastor Susan, who not only led 4 services by herself, but just on a whim had to come up with a new Easter sermon. Just to write it because I decided to bark uncontrollably like a colony of seals, and you did not want to be around me. I am not contagious, very thankful to Pastor Susan for picking up the pieces, and I watched from home. So I'm just only wearing my mask because I don't want to bark at you directly. You are what you eat. Maybe you had a big Easter dinner at home, and then you just feel, I want a nap. You know that feeling? You've eaten slightly a little bit too much. Again, this is not about on the plate necessarily what you eat, but I'm thinking about the saying and what it means about the gospel story. Because after all, you are what you eat. The week after Easter. Or what's left might be maybe kind of jelly beans, the color you don't like and nobody in your family likes. Or maybe the wrapper of the chocolate eggs, some of them still in the garbage can, or maybe there's a trail. A few Easter lilies, and they're all on sale now, in case you're wondering. So what's left? What's left after Easter? Maybe we feel similar to the disciples in our story. We go back to what we know to do, back to the routine. Easter is done, that was last week, and we just go back to work. So we have 7 disciples in the story. And the story is probably actually written much, much later than the Gospel of John. So it's a post-resurrection, a post-Easter story, and so appropriate for the Sunday after Easter. Excuse me. So appropriate for that. And we go back to work because that's what we do. That's what the disciples do. And Peter, and today we are finishing up the series about the wandering heart, which we started the week after Ash Wednesday, about Peter, says, I'm going fishing. Because what else is there to do? I'm a professional fisherman. I know what I'm doing. I'm going back to work. And everybody else said, okay, I'm going with you. So we're having 7 guys in here. Simon Peter, Thomas the twin, Nathaniel, the sons of Zebedee, and 2 other disciples with no name. Could be anybody. 7 of them are going. It didn't go well. Went back. Didn't catch a single fish. 7 professional fishermen know what they're doing on the Sea Galilee or Sea Tiberias. That's a lake they have fished all their lives. It didn't go well. So they come up, empty nets, and you heard the children's story. Jesus said to them, up, didn't catch anything, go back out, try, work smarter, not harder, swore to the other side of the boat. And I'm wondering, really, what difference does it make if you put the net on the left or on the right-hand side? It's not like this boat, it's like this border where the fish only go this side and not that side. And I know these are professional fishermen. They know what they're doing. But I don't think that's the story. That's the gist of the story for today, of how we fish or which side we throw the net on. And if you don't succeed the first time, try again. I don't think that's the moral of the story at all here. And 153 fish, there's been many, many speculations about it. Why that number? For me, something else in the story is much more curiosity. I wonder, like, really? And come with me. And Katrina, you did a beautiful job reading. In verse 7, it says, the disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, it is the Lord, because he knows who he is seeing. When Simon Peter that it was the Lord, he put out his outer garment, for he taking it off, and jumped into the sea. That doesn't make any sense to me. I know nothing about fishing, and I'm not a good swimmer. However, I know that if you put clothes on if you jump into the water, that makes you heavier and drags you. And it says later on that about 100 feet, 100 yards from the shore. Why does Peter put on clothes before he jumps into the water? Any ideas? I did a lot of research because I've been puzzling about this for a rather long time. And if I want to know something, I really want to know something. So I had my Greek there, I had my different English translations, I had other translations, and tried to get to the gist of it. Why does Peter put on an outer clothing before he jumped into the water to get soaking wet and dragging the boat with all the fish so that he could be a Jesus when he had a picnic at the beach? Any ideas? The scholars are all over the place, let me tell you that, and I'm trying to get to the gist of it. I could give you names and different authors, what they come up with, and it doesn't really matter because I believe it might not be, in some translations said that he literally had no clothes on, Peter, and then put his outer coat on. It's like he put his street clothes, his church clothes on. Why would you do that? Then even that would be smelly and totally wet and ruined. And why only Peter if all the other people are fishermen as well? What is going on? We said last week was Easter. Wonderful, wonderful celebration. And I love the trumpet, and I love the different lilies, and I love the music, and I love the message that Christ is risen. But what are we doing with this now? What happened before Easter with Peter? He denied him 3 times. And now he is facing Mr. Jesus right there at the beach when he has fish and bread. Maybe the clothing he puts on with the big belt around his waist is more than just literally a piece of clothing. Maybe it is a symbolic meaning in it. There has to be a meaning in it because otherwise it wouldn't be in here. Why does he put on clothes before he jumps into the water? We not even know if he can swim or not. Peter tried to walk on water. He fell miserably. And 100 feet is not very far, or 100 yards. And they're on the shore anyhow. And if you read the story, they're pulling that boat in. And as professional fishermen, you know how to maneuver a boat. Empty or full, you know what you have to do. That's just in your DNA, and nobody can take it away from you. But maybe there's something else. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I am not feeling well, not necessarily physically, but emotionally, and I don't want to share it with somebody, I just said, oh, I'm fine. I'm not. I don't know about you if you sometimes say to some people, you're fine, and if you're really not. But maybe Peter didn't want to see Jesus, and there was no other way because they were on the middle of the sea, stuck in that boat with all that fish. He could not go all the way to the other side of the shore because they were on the boat. And 100 feet is closer than all the other side of the lake. You get me? So maybe he had to put that coat on as a symbol of protection. He didn't want to see who he was going to face. I know I have done things in my life where I felt really not good about. And I really did not want to face the other person because I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. And I felt bad. And knowing that Jesus would be right there, I can just imagine how Peter must have felt the first time seeing the person who he just denied 10 days ago. How would you feel? Awful. I know I would. But maybe I'm just trying to hide myself under that coat. Because it's amazing what clothes can do to you, or makeup, or a new hairstyle, or a mask, or anything else. We can pretend to be somebody else. We can cover up our wounds, our bruises, our inside. And maybe that's what Peter is doing. Covering up. He can't get away because he's in close counter. So all what he can do is hiding under that thick, thick coat. And what does Jesus do? come, have breakfast. Come. And he then is going to break the bread and take the fish they just caught. The food is literally on the table of what they just had. And he invites even Peter to that table, together with John and together with all the others of the crowd. Jesus just says, come. And that's what Peter is doing. And I want to say to Peter, Peter, you are what you eat. Please don't be stuck on Good Friday. Go towards Easter. Easter happened afterwards. Grace is bigger than shame. Grace is what we celebrate. New beginnings, hope, and that Jesus is resurrected. That Jesus gives us new life. Not Good Friday. Jesus left that stinky tomb. And everything else what entombs us and shackles us. We are free. We are free from all that. And just eat this meal. And Jesus is going to say to us, come and eat. Regardless if you had a story like Peter, there's no need to hide. Or if you were anybody else literally in that boat, come and experience that meal of forgiveness, because Easter goes on. We still have a few lilies. We still have the white, because we still celebrate for 6 weeks the absolute fantastic news that Good Friday has been overcome by Easter, that grace is much bigger than shame. You are what you eat. Don't forget that. And I want to tell to Peter, you are what you eat. With all your wet clothes, just come and experience that meal. And be invited, and you are welcomed at that meal when Jesus says, come, have breakfast. Come, get something to eat with the elements which we have. Then it was fish and bread. We are going to have fish and juice. Grace is bigger than shame. And I hope that you all experience that even Peter had the joy of a new start. And how much more do you? Come, have breakfast. Come and eat at this meal and whenever else we celebrate. And remember, you are what you eat. Forgiven, beloved people. You are forgiven just like Peter is. And that's why we celebrate Easter. Happy Easter. Amen.